There we go, that's a good
What's your
name.
name?
What is your name and when did you graduate?
My name is Larry Feldman, and I graduated in 1969.
Were you a day or evening student?
I was a day student.
You were a day student, okay.
None of these buildings existed except one when I.
And which one was that? That was the library, right? What's now the library?
Yeah, that one.
Do you remember where some of your classes were?
Not really, but they were in there.
They were in there, okay.
There was only a couple of, well, no, there was 2 stories. So there had a couple of really big classrooms, and then there were these small seminar rooms that we went to. And I was editor-in-chief of the Law Review, and someplace up there was a Law Review office.
Oh, okay. Have you seen the new Law Review offices?
I have.
They're
I'm
quite nice.
not sure, yeah. Much bigger than what we were doing.
Well, first off, let's start with today, and part of what this video is for prospective students to kind of get a glimpse of what's going on, and for our current students to kind of get like a roadmap to how to accomplish the kind of success you've had. So I want to ask you, what is your current job title, and let's start with that.
Well, I am right now a trial lawyer at K. Scholler, and my official title is special counsel, whatever that means. Whatever comes with that.
Let's talk about how you got there. What do you think was the most critical skill or class you learned at school here at Loyola? Was there one pivotal skills course or something you did here that just was like,
Well, I always wanted to be a trial lawyer, and I can't say that there was one class here that made me into this trial lawyer, but after my first year here, I law clerked for a criminal trial lawyer, and I thought, that was great experience, and it made a lot of law school make sense to me, so that when you read a case about what a demur, came up on a certain way, it made sense. You saw what a demur was when you were a law clerk, so you knew what that was. So it really helped me understand a lot more how to be a lawyer, and that's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to be a criminal lawyer. I thought I wanted to be a constitutional, First Amendment, search and seizure kind of lawyer, but ultimately I went to work for a law firm and practiced law with my partners for 30 some odd years, and where we had this boutique trial firm, and then ultimately at some point I decided I didn't want all the responsibility, and I sort of am now at a much different atmosphere, a large law firm, and doing my own thing within their support system.
I'm glad you brought that up. So for starters, back in the day, you've had an interesting path, and if you could turn your volume up maybe like 1 notch, just because we have a lot of ambient noise.
Sure.
But otherwise, this is great, and I won't take very much longer. What kind of practical experience did you get while you were actually in law school?
They didn't have much in those days. This school has come a long way and is going to come a lot longer way as far as the practical experience. They really didn't have any practical experience. I mean, you had in those days a curriculum that allowed little room for electives like today. You took torts and contracts and all the basic courses, and they told you when to take them and what year to take them. And you may have had a couple of electives in your second year, maybe, and a couple more in your senior year, but it really was a rigid course. You had to have certain subjects, and even in the electives, it was pretty restricted. So we didn't have any of that practical stuff. I mean, the most practical probably was I took a course from a judge in criminal procedure, which was kind of a seminar advanced course. But what you have today, where law students are really participating, interviewing clients and doing these advocacy projects, it's a much different thing. We didn't have anything like that in those days.
Tell me about sort of how things have changed. Now you're a judge. Sorry, well, maybe someday. You're a practitioner. No, not going to happen.
Not gonna
You're a
happen.
practitioner in residence. Tell me what that means and what you hope to do with that.
Well, what I think it means, I hope what it means
Can
is...
you? They won't hear me in the answer or the question. Just if you could repeat the.
What practice in residence I hope means is that I am going to bring some practical experience to the law school environment, so that the law students get an idea of what it's like to be a real lawyer. The law profession doesn't have this bridge where you learn how to think as a lawyer, but you really are not much of value to a law firm because you don't know where the courthouse is, you don't know what lawyers really do in the courtroom, you don't know what these law school experiences are like. So what hopefully I'm going to do is bring this practical experience and give law students a chance to think about how to really become really great lawyers and be happy at the same time. So that's what I hope I personally can do for the students.
That sounds really good.
If it happens.
Let me have you, can you repeat just the first sentence that we bob a little bit when you said practice in residence?
What do we call it?
Practitioner in residence. That's okay though, I just need the first sentence and we'll cobble it together.
I am a practitioner in residence.
Lovely. Okay, I think we're good. Let's get 2 more questions. What was your first job in the law and how did you get it?
Well, the first job as a lawyer was my last job as a lawyer, in reality. I went to work, I was #1 in my class and I was editor-in-chief of the Law Review, so I had a lot of options. And I ruled out going to work for big firms. I didn't like that environment. I had law clerked, as I said, for a trial lawyer, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. The only question was whether it was going to be criminal or civil. And I was very lucky. I met a law firm. I think they posted here. In those days, there was a bulletin board with some jobs, and they posted for a job, and I went out and interviewed, and they were a collection of people who went to Yale, Harvard. There was about, in those days, maybe 10 of them. They were all first-rate lawyers. In fact, one of them was my first law school professor here at Loyola. Not that we had a relationship, but that's just how it happened. He was the first person I ever heard speak as a law professor. And he, anyway, I interviewed there, and they fit what I thought being a lawyer was all about. And they were excellent lawyers. And I stayed with that firm from basically 1969 to 2004. And it ultimately became my firm. My mentor died. One of the partners went on the Ninth Circuit. One of the partners went on the Superior Court, and that left me with ultimately about 30 or 35 lawyers. And we had our own firm, and that's what I did. And that's how I got there.
Let me check our time. I don't want to have you be late for your own speaking engagement. All right, we got time for one last quick question. All right, here we go. So knowing what you know now, you practiced law for how many years now?
43 years.
So 43 years practicing law. What's your one piece of advice to Loyola students who are making their way through school now and what they should be thinking about in terms of their next step in their career?
You got to love what you're going to do as a lawyer. Being a lawyer is a tough job, and you got to love it to get through it and be successful. So whatever you choose, and it's hard as a lawyer making the transition from law school to being in the profession, you have to love the profession and love whatever field you choose. If that's being a transactional corporate lawyer, you got to love it. If that's being a trial lawyer, you got to love it. There are glamorous parts of being a lawyer, but there's a lot of hard work being a lawyer, a lot of long hours, and a lot of disappointments. And so to get over all that, I think you got to really, love what you're doing. I did. I loved it.